3, 2, 1, go! Level up, level up.
Welcome to Real Talk TV. My name is Roger Henry, and today's special guests are from the Nottingham Castle Trust. We've got Sarah Blair Manning and also Josh Azura Pickering. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Tell me, Sarah, what is it you do at the Nottingham Castle Trust?
So I'm the Chief Executive of Nottingham Castle Trust, which means that I get to lead an amazing team of really talented people, Josh being one of them, to do some incredible things in the city, to raise the profile of Nottingham Castle, to allow loads of local residents to come and experience all of the stories and the activities that we're going to present at the castle, and to create a visitor destination that is absolutely world class.
Sounds absolutely amazing. What a big responsibility. And yourself, Josh, what is it you do?
Yeah, I'm the Engagement and Participation Officer, which means that my job is to create an environment at Nottingham Castle where everybody feels that they can participate, everyone in the city and beyond. It's about representing everybody as a museum of social history as well, and making sure that everybody really just knows what we're about and knows that this is somewhere that they can help to shape the narrative, to tell their stories, and to really make something that Nottingham can be proud of.
Wow, absolutely amazing. So externally it looks absolutely fantastic, but internally, tell me, Sarah, what plans do you have ahead?
So we've spent £30 million worth of investment in terms of updating the whole of the Ducal Palace area, the caves, and also Brewhouse Yard. So although it doesn't look that much different in terms of the Ducal Palace, some of the conservation work that's happened is really important for the building, the heritage of the building. But inside, all of the galleries look absolutely amazing. They are London standard galleries now. So when you come into Nottingham Castle and you experience the galleries, you're going to see a significant transformation from what it felt and looked like before the investment to what it looks like now. And we've also created 3 new galleries. So there's a new Robin Hood gallery, there's a Rebellion gallery, and a touring temporary exhibition gallery as well.
So just to elaborate, Rebellion Gallery, it sounds really exciting. What is that?
So the Rebellion Gallery, it talks about how important strategically and politically Nottingham itself as a city was, but also the castle specifically. And Josh can tell us a bit more about that, but we are concentrating on the Civil War, the Reform Act riots, and the Luddites. So they were 3 key movements in Nottingham's history that had a national effect on the whole of the UK.
Wow, amazing. So how do you sort of deliver that out into the communities, Josh?
It's about making everything relatable to the people in the city today. So it's connecting the past to the present, it's connecting themes and stories, and it's really about shaping it from the very beginning with the people who we're working with. So that means going to people and saying, what are the connections that you see? What are the issues that you want to speak about? How do our collections and our themes fit with those, and how can we connect them together?
Absolutely brilliant. And, you know, some would argue £30 million is a large amount of money. How can you justify that spend?
So I think we can justify it by the economic and social impact that it will have for the city. So on the economic impacts that have been carried out as part of the project, there's going to be a £10 million return for the next 10 years. So you're talking £100 million for the £30 million investment. And also, it's not money that we've taken away from anywhere else. It's money that the City Council have donated to raise the profile of the city, but also the majority of the funding has come from grant funders like Heritage Lottery, and also other individual grant funders and donors, and other names that people will know, like, and I can't remember what they are.
That's fine, that's not a problem. But I think for me, growing up in the city of Nottingham, the Nottingham Castle didn't really I could not identify as a child going there. It never really had a pull for me to keep going there. So what sort of changes are going to be there which will attract, you know, people from the community who are from the BAME community in particular?
Josh, do you want me to do that, or are you going to pick that up?
I can, yeah. I think it's a gradual thing. It's something that people will see, yes, when we reopen, but we'll also see in the work that we do long term. So it's about building that trust up again. As you say, you might not have ever thought of Nottingham Castle as somewhere to go to or somewhere to engage with. A lot of people will have that exact same experience. I didn't visit the castle very much before getting the job there. I went a couple of times maybe. It's got this very physical, very real barrier of these huge castle walls that represent elitism and represent keeping wealth in and the people out. It hasn't always been attractive to people from our community. So it's a huge task to change people's minds about what we do, and we have to do that through real work. It can't be something that we just say, oh, here's a lot of money that's been spent on it, we've made everything look nicer, come and see it. We have to demonstrate that it's actually meaningful, and we have to show through our project work, through all of the stuff that we do in gallery, the stuff we do in schools as well, and the job opportunities that we offer as well. So it's huge. The answer to that question is on many different levels, many different areas. In terms of working in communities, which is my particular area, it'll be about co-leading, as I said before, going to people and saying, this is what we've got, these are the resources we've got, these are the artists we know, the themes that we know, the content, what do you want to do with it? It's handing over power. It's all about power and influence. So we're going to people and saying, this is what we've got, how do you want to shape things? And as I said before, it's a museum of social history. It's about shaping the narratives and telling stories. And I think that by giving that environment and that platform to people to be able to do things as they want to do it, really from the ground, that we will demonstrate that, and slowly, I'm sure it will take time, but over time people will see that Nottingham Castle is a genuine, has genuinely changed, is a place where people will feel comfortable coming to and telling their stories.
Brilliant. And you know what, I think this has been a long time in the making. It needed to happen because, you know, going back to my teenage years, going there, and it just represented the colonialism, the oppression, the suppression. And it's great that, you know, Sarah, that you're, you know, grabbing the mantle with this and making those changes. Just talk to me about the people that are involved then from a kind of inclusivity point of view regarding the diversity. I mean, when we think in terms of trust, it tends to be very middle class, white people who seem to be managing that. But I know from speaking to yourself, Sarah, that you've got a real strong views and opinions of how you'd like to make those massive significant changes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we recognise that, you know, museums and heritage have been predominantly run by white, middle class, upper class men historically. Women have now come into the sector a bit more meaningfully, but still it is absolutely a place of privilege, and we're trying to do our best to rectify that. So we want to, and obviously working with you, Roger, in terms of getting the word out in terms of our recruitment, we want to absolutely mirror the diversity of the city and also the age profile of the city as well. So it's a young city, it's the second most diverse city outside of London in the country. We want to make sure that our staff team looks like the community. Now that is a challenge because of the pipeline in heritage. So we all know that actually a lot of people, when we are doing our recruitment, we're having challenges, and I've spoken to you personally about this before, about diverse communities coming through because, you know, it's not necessarily on the national curriculum, it's not necessarily something that your school advisor when you're looking for a job is potentially going to talk to you about. They certainly didn't talk to me about it. I mean, I fell into the sector by chance, really. So we understand that, you know, some of our diverse communities might not have the opportunity at schools, and we're talking to a range of schools about Josh coming in, me coming in with my background, lots of people coming in to talk about the opportunities and how you can mix it up a bit in terms of museums and heritage and culture. And then hopefully that will see more people coming through that don't frankly look like me. And that would be a good thing, because we want a breadth of experiences, real life experiences, lived experiences to come in and inform what we are doing, but also to work with Josh in terms of telling the stories and changing that narrative of museums. You know, it's not about white middle class men anymore, it's not about colonial history anymore, it's about the relevance and actually making that open and talking about everybody's histories.
Fantastic. I just want to go back a little bit. I mean, I'm sorry to make you be the person that the questions are directed at the moment. I will come to Josh shortly, but one of the things which just suddenly dawned on me, you are made up the way you are, but that your, you know, colleagues who don't think like you, when you hear them speak, who don't have cultural any competencies or they've not had any kind of experiences being around BAME community, how does that make you feel when you hear such negative sort of connotations and discussions which are totally the opposite to your views?
Well, first of all, I'd call it out, which is uncomfortable being the person that has to call it out.
Courageous.
Well, I think that's also a thing about. It's probably stems from being bullied, actually. You know, in terms of you've either got to decide to stand up and just put up with it, or do something about it and fight back. And you sort of put yourself in a space where actually I always was the one that was going to. In every situation, I'll be the one that asks the awkward question or ask why something is happening. So I don't like to just go with what the norm is. I'm happy to go with the norm if it's reasonable and if there's, factual stuff to support it. But I'm not just going to go with the flow just to go with the flow. It's got to be right. So I think that things are changing in the sector. Undoubtedly, they are changing. I think it's slow. I think it's really slow, actually. And I think that people pay a little bit of lip service to stuff sometimes still. And I think it's about sharing your personal experience and everybody's personal experience and listening to people's personal experience, especially lived experience, and then bringing that into what you're trying to do.
So, are you saying there is systemic racism within the organisation that you work for?
Within the organisation that we work for, I think that there's influences of systemic racism, yes. I would hope, and we are aiming to create because we're a new trust, we're effectively a startup, so we haven't brought any staff members from anywhere else. I've not taken over an organisation that has been running for years and years. It's a new organisation. I think within the work that we've done in terms of our organisational behaviour, and it'd be interesting to have Josh's point of view on this, I think that what I've been quite careful to do is allow the staff team to input into what our values are. It's not about me putting my values onto the organisation. It's about the whole organisation sharing all of their values and making a collective decision about what is important to them in relation to the city's communities and to the responsibility that we have at the castle. So I would hope that Josh is going to say, and I know he'll tell the truth, because we've got a very open relationship, and that's what I've got with all of my staff, because I don't hold all the answers. I don't know everything. No one person does that, right? So I want my staff team to be telling me what is the most appropriate thing to be doing in any one situation. I can't go in and say, yeah, we're going to do this, because my lived experience is not those people's lived experience. You've got to cotton onto that pretty sharpish and make sure that you are speaking truth to power, really. And you've got to give up the power, as Josh just said. It's not, we're about opening things up and having conversations and allowing people to come in and tell their stories and telling us when we've got it wrong. Because undoubtedly, we'll have got some stuff wrong and we will continue to get things wrong. So we encourage people to have those conversations. And I know that Josh has had conversations with colleagues in the city where they think we've done things wrong, and we've done our best to try and put it right. But we need that check all the time. Well, I just want to say, a warm thank you for both of you coming onto this show. It's clear that you're both driven and passionate. Some great, exciting things happening in Nottingham, and it's not, I suppose I've got to mention as well the mural that you're creating on the castle wall. You're kind of getting lots of different people from different backgrounds and ethnicities and diversity. I mean, tell us a little bit about that before we close. Well, that's Josh's project. Oh, wow, okay, so I'm going to hand that over to Josh. Okay.
Yeah, it's I guess a visual, a kind of moving mural, if you will. It's a montage of projection. So it's faces, it's words from local poets, rappers, writers from the past and present. But in terms of the faces, my idea was that we would have 100 Nottingham faces, and you kindly came along and joined us for that. So we're going to have your face on there, and the idea is that we're projecting onto the castle walls. As I spoke earlier about the very visual, very physical barrier to people that the castle walls are, my idea was that we would have the people visibly scaling the walls of the castle, taking it by storm again, taking it over. As I said, it's all about the people. So for me, it's a great way to visually show people that this is a place for them. This is that environment that I talked about, the environment where everyone can participate. And what does that better than showing people's faces from every walk of life, from every background, actually projected onto the castle walls. And I had this, at the very beginning, I had the thought of, you know, a young black boy. I imagined myself at 17, 16 years old, not really being interested in engaging in a stuffy old heritage site that seemed very white to me. And I had this image of a young black boy of about that age walking down Castle Road, looking up and seeing someone who looks like him on the castle walls, and making that difference, and him thinking, maybe this is somewhere that I can participate in, maybe I can tell my stories here. They take me seriously and people like me seriously. So that's what I want to do. I want to show people, it's about demonstrating, I want to show people that we're doing real meaningful things and that this is a place for them.
Well, I think it's a fantastic initiative. I mean, for me personally, where it took me was like being able to walk down past the building and with my grandchildren one day maybe, and being able to sort of show them, you know, wow, look, there's me. I didn't scrub up too bad when I was in my younger days. So I'm really, really grateful for that. So once again, thank you both for being on the show. And, you know, I'm really grateful as well, you being part of the sponsor, one of the sponsors for the programme. I know I've got to finish off with sort of mentioning that Josh, you know, grateful to have you. Josh is one of our historians who's going to be on the show on a regular basis, talking about black history, so get used to him. So with that, I just want to say thank you once again. Real people, real problems, real solutions. Bye for now.